I didn't believe in the stories. Not the old northern ones. Not the warnings about the woods after dark. Not the ones about her. They say in the far north, when winter stretches too long and the sky stays black for weeks, something starts walking between the trees. And if you see a woman in a white fur hood standing alone in the snow, you don't speak to her. You don't follow her. And whatever you do, you don't let her inside. I laughed when the old mechanic in town told me that. I had just moved there, small northern town, surrounded by endless forest and frozen lakes. The kind of place where the cold doesn't just bite your skin, it presses into your bones. I liked the isolation. I work remotely. I wanted quiet. I got it. But quiet out there isn't peaceful. It listens. The first time I saw her, it was just after midnight. I couldn't sleep. The wind was howling against the cabin walls, snow scratching the windows like fingernails. I made coffee and stood by the window. That's when I saw her, standing at the edge of the tree line, perfectly still. White fur hood, long dark coat, bare hands at her sides, no footprints leading to her, no breath in the air, just standing there, watching my cabin. I told myself it was a trick of the light, a tree stump, a shadow, but then she tilted her head, slowly, like she could see me watching. The power went out. Everything went black. When the generator kicked in a few seconds later, she was gone. No footprints in the snow. Nothing. The next morning, I drove into town. I told myself I imagined it. But when I mentioned seeing someone near my property, the cafe went silent. An old woman at the counter looked at me and asked, "Did she ask for warmth?" I laughed nervously. No, the old woman didn't smile. If she asks, you don't answer. I asked who she was. The mechanic spoke this time. They call her the woman in the fur hood. She appears during the coldest nights. Always alone, always watching. And if someone lets her in? I asked. He looked at me. They don't get cold anymore. I didn't understand what that meant. I wish I never found out. 3 nights later, the temperature dropped to -30. Colder than usual. The kind of cold that makes the air crack. I locked all the doors early, closed every curtain. But around 3 a.m., I heard knocking. Soft, slow, 3 knocks. I froze in bed. It came again. 3 knocks. Then a voice. Gentle. Calm. Please. It's cold. My heart stopped. It was a woman's voice. Soft. Almost fragile. I just need warmth. I forced myself not to move. The voice came again. Closer to the door. I can see you inside. The wind outside had stopped. No storm, no sound. Just her voice. I grabbed the fireplace poker and slowly walked toward the door. My hands were shaking. I looked through the small frosted window. And there she was, closer than before. White fur hood dusted with snow. Pale face, dark eyes, but something was wrong. Her feet weren't touching the ground. They hovered inches above the snow. And beneath her, there were no footprints, not a single one. She smiled, not wide, just enough. Please, she whispered. Let me in. I don't know why. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was something else, but I spoke. I can't. The smile faded. Her head tilted slightly, and for a split second her face changed. The skin stretched, the eyes went black, her mouth widened too far. Not human, not even close. Then she vanished, not walked away, not faded, just gone. The next morning, I found something outside my door. Footprints, only one set, leading from the tree line to my cabin and stopping at the door. But they weren't normal footprints. They were deep, as if something heavy had stood there, watching, waiting, and around them, the snow was melted, in perfect circles. That night, it got colder, colder than it had ever been. My heater stopped working. The generator struggled. Frost crept along the inside of the windows. Then I heard it again. Not knocking this time. Walking. Slow steps on the roof. Dragging sounds. Like something heavy shifting above me. Then a whisper from inside the cabin. Behind me. "You're already cold." I spun around. Nothing there. But my breath, I couldn't see it anymore. The room wasn't freezing. It was warm. Too warm. The fireplace roared. The air felt thick. And then I saw her. Standing in the corner. Inside. White fur hood untouched by snow. She didn't break the door. She didn't open a window. She was just there. Watching me. "You refused," she said softly. I couldn't move. "You spoke," she continued. "That is invitation enough." Her hand reached out. It wasn't pale anymore. It was gray, cracked like frozen earth. When her fingers touched my wrist, I felt it. Not cold, but emptiness. Like warmth was being pulled out of me. Drained, my chest tightened. My skin felt numb. "You won't feel the cold again," she whispered. And I realized what the mechanic meant. The people who let her in don't get cold because they become like her. Something that feeds on warmth. Something that walks during the longest nights. I yanked my arm away and stumbled back into the fireplace. Flames shot up between us. For a moment, her face twisted in anger. The cabin walls groaned. The windows cracked from the sudden heat. "Fire is not warmth," she hissed. "It is hunger." The flames surged higher, and she screamed. Not loud, but sharp. Like ice splitting. Her body flickered. Fur hood dissolving into drifting frost. And then she was gone. The fire died instantly. The room went dark. I woke up on the floor the next morning. The heater was working again. The door was locked. No signs of anyone inside. But something was wrong. I stepped outside and saw footprints. 2 sets this time. One set leading away from the cabin, toward the forest, and another following beside them, matching step for step. My boots were still by the door, untouched, but the second set of footprints, they were mine. Now it's been weeks. The nights are getting longer, colder. Sometimes I wake up standing by the window, watching the tree line, waiting, and sometimes I see her, at the edge of the forest, white fur hood, still watching me. But she's not alone anymore. There's a second figure beside her, tall, still, learning to stand in the snow without footprints, learning to wait. And when the temperature drops low enough, I feel it, the pull, the hunger, the need for warmth that isn't mine. If you ever move north, if you ever see a woman in a white fur hood standing in the snow, don't speak, don't answer. And whatever you do, don't let her feel how warm you are. Because once she does, she won't need to come inside. You'll walk out to her. Subscribe for more.